To Cricket Diwangi. Thank you so much for taking out the time and welcome to Pakistan. How does it feel?
Thank you. First of all, it's a pleasure to be talking to you, and it's been fantastic. It's been great. We've been here sort of 9 days now. It feels like home. It really has. It's been fantastic. People have made us very welcome. The NCA has been brilliant. Facilities have been good, and we're ready to go to England now.
You know, in terms of a lot of people when they're coming to Pakistan, they have reservations that, in terms of the security and whether it's going to be safe. So I hope that, you feel welcome and safe over here.
Yeah, I have. It's been fantastic. Everybody's made us feel welcome, and it's been great.
Coming back to the cricket and your appointment, first of all, I'd like to ask you, what made you take up this job? What was the specific attraction?
Well, it's exactly that. I've seen it as a massive challenge. I've seen Pakistan cricket do extremely well in Test cricket. I've seen them sort of slip up a little bit in one-day cricket, and when the job became available, I just looked at it as a real challenge. I'd had a little bit of when I finished with Australia, I'd had a little bit of coaching experience with Dhaka Dynamites and then Karachi Kings in the PSL. I liked what I saw, and I thought I would never have fulfilled my coaching career if I hadn't coached a team in the subcontinent. So when the job came up, it really appealed to me, A, for the challenge, and B, for just being a coach in the subcontinent and just feeling the vibe and the energy and the passion for people in terms of their cricket loving.
In terms of your stint with Karachi Kings, how was that? I mean, did you see a lot of talent out there for Pakistan? Were there any promising cricketers?
Exciting challenge. The PSL was so good for Pakistan cricket and so good for the talented young players.
As of now, you've come into coaching the national side. What do you think are the 3 biggest challenges for Pakistan cricket?
Well, I think the biggest challenges are Pakistan's record away from home, and I think that's something we need to address. We need, if you like, massive challenge getting the fitness and fielding up to the speed in terms of international cricket. I think that's the one area that disappointed me a little bit in the PSL, was the fielding skills and the athleticism, and that's something that you can change. That's measurable.
So Mickey, we talk about Pakistan's fitness and fielding. You compare it to the rest of the teams and all over the world, Pakistan is really lacking. What do you think is the reason, and how do you think we're going to overcome that? Because would you say that it's not going to happen overnight? So what are the measures that Pakistan needs to take to improve that?
Well, I said fielding and fitness is measurable, because you can record the amount of times you drop a catch, the amount of times you hit a wicket, hit wickets with throws, the amount of runs you save in the field, and you can record all the fitness levels of the players. So all I'm interested in seeing is the players going south in their results, because then they're showing discipline, they're showing commitment, and they're showing dedication. And those are 3 words that are non-negotiable with me. So if a player starts slacking off, I'll be extremely hard in those departments, because for us to be successful, we've got to get better. And in order to get better, it has to become habit. We have to be doing the good habits every day. Every day we train. Cricket's batting and bowling skills are very good. Those other skills need to become a habit. It needs to be a culture that the team develops.
Previous coach Waqar Yunus, he wrote a report, and in his report he mentioned how Umar Akmal used to skip some of his practice sessions, and he was given that leeway. How would you handle that? What would your approach be to someone who, like you said, wants to slack?
Every player will have an individual plan that he needs to meet every day. He needs to train. We'll record fitness levels. We'll record technical, where he is technically, mentally, physically. We'll record all that, and then we know where the player is in his fitness. We know if he's ready to play at any given time, and also I think that will bring the best out of the players, because it will hopefully bring that cultural change that's needed to really compete with the big sides in the world. And not that Pakistan aren't, but there's areas that we can definitely get better at, and no player will be allowed to slack off.
So there's no compromise on discipline? No
compromise on discipline, because if you compromise on discipline, those little things off the field and in training become habits on the field. If you're doing the right things in your training, if you're doing the right things in your off-field activities, you've got a far better chance of making the right decisions at the right time on the field.
In terms of shortcomings. We all have shortcomings. What would you say, are your shortcomings in context of this specific assignment where you've had to get special assistance from PCB? Is there anything in particular you would say?
No, the PCB's been outstanding, and those will become a little bit apparent as we move on. I think we've built a really good support staff. For me, Mushi's going to be great during the tests because he's played and coached again, with England. So he'll be able to give us some really good advice. And then I see Azam Mahmood as a new age coach.
Yeah.
I see him as a young coach who can give so much to the shorter game, to the one days and the T20s. So and then I want to see Azam Mahmood really developing so that one day hopefully he can coach Pakistan. And I think that would be my greatest legacy, would be taking Pakistan to where it can be in world cricket, and then handing over to a Pakistan coach who can take them further.
And the language barrier, do you think, how big do you think that is in terms of understanding the social and cultural values of Pakistan? And do you think you need to learn Urdu?
Well, I've picked up a couple of words. And I think understanding the culture is really important, because to coach a team, you've got to understand the culture.
Yeah.
To be able to make players tick and get the best out of them, you've got to understand where they come from, and where they're best at culturally. So I need to do that. That's my job as a coach, to be able to get close to the players and have that transfer of information.
Yeah.
And trust from them. So that's key for me, and that's something I've got to build in the early part of the England tour.
But if we talk about building relationships in terms of your career, it's been slightly controversial with Australia as well. Brad Haddin, I'm quoting him, said that he was an insecure coach. It's been reported that you've also had issues with Graham Smith in the past. What would you say to that? Why this controversy?
Look, first and foremost, Graham and I had a great relationship, so that's wrong. Coaching Australia was an interesting experience for me, and it was one that.
मिकी याद रहा कि मैं साथ हूँ, तो ज़रूरी ये है कि वो हमें कोई इंपॉर्टेंट बैटिंग टिप्स दें। इंग्लैंड का टूर आ रहा है, वहाँ पे कंडीशंस जो हैं, नॉर्मली पाकिस्तान टीम वहाँ पे स्ट्रगल करती है, तो मैं मिकी से पूछूंगी कि किस तरह जो है वहाँ पे स्विंग को खेलना चाहिए। मिकी, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द कंडीशंस इन इंग्लैंड एंड हाउ हार्ड इट इज़ टू प्ले ओवर देयर। सो एज अ कोच, व्हाट टिप्स वुड यू गिव इन टर्म्स ऑफ if you're facing the outswing from James Addison?
I think one of the most important things you need to do on wickets that swing or that seam is that you need to play the ball late.
Yeah.
You need to play the ball right under your R's. You need some really assured footwork, and then let the ball come to the R's. So very simply put, what we'll be telling the batsman to do is, I'm always one who believes in leading with your front shoulder.
All right.
I believe people say get your foot to the ball. I think that's sometimes overrated, because you can get your foot to the ball, but you want your weight forward, you don't want your weight back. So I always say to the young batsman, lead with your shoulder. Always say shoulder to the line, weight over your front leg. And if you can get into that position, when the ball swings, you're then in position to be able to play that ball right under your eyes, and that's where you get total control from. The minute you let your hands get too far in front of your pad, you've got no control. And you hear the commentators say they're going with very hard hands. That means they're getting the bat out, and in front of their pad, which means they've got no control. And when you nick the ball from there, the ball travels to the slip.
And what about in swing? Is it the same way that you play it, or?
In swing's exactly the same. You always tell your batsmen to be in a position so they don't commit before the ball's bowled. And you see batsmen get into trouble against in swing because their weight's going across the crease instead of at the ball. So the minute your weight goes across the crease, your front foot plants and you end up playing around your front pad. Again, I'll go back to shoulder, you wait, You pick the line of the ball, you take your shoulder to the line, and then the shoulder goes to the line. Whether the ball swings out or whether it swings in, you're then in a position to be able to play the ball with your pad out the way so you can't get out LBW.
What about leg spin in terms of you've got the dusra from an off spinner, then you've got the googly. It's very hard to pick. So what would be your tips over there?
Well, the way you pick the googly, you either pick the googly through, the googly comes out the back of the hand.
Yeah.
Okay, so you either pick the googly from the bowler's action, or you pick the googly as the ball comes down at you. A lot of players don't trust them getting the action right, so they will pick the googly on the trajectory of the ball and the rotation on the ball. And then you can play the googly off the pitch, or you can play it, or you can play it through the air, whatever you want to do. The one thing that we've developed playing leg spin, and everybody says when you play against spin bowlers, you hit you hit with the spin. Now that's 100% right. We've found, particularly in conditions where the ball spins a lot, that when you defend into the spin, because that closes the bat face slightly, which takes your silly point and short leg out the game.
Yeah.
And it also takes your, and I'm talking about a spinner who's spinning the ball away from you, a leg spinner to the right-hander. It also takes your slip and gully out the way. When you attack though, you've got to then attack with the spin. So your hitting areas then are through the offside.
Right, thank you so much. Useful tips over there. मिकी आथा ने ज़बरदस्त हमें टिप्स दिए हैं कि कैसे आउट स्विंग को, इन स्विंग को और स्पिनर्स को खेलना चाहिए. एक छोटी सी ब्रेक लेते हैं और ब्रेक के बाद जो है हम इस डिस्कशन को जारी रखेंगे. हमारे साथ रहिएगा. And Mickey, how would you term your own coaching style as in terms of, do you think it's authoritative or you have a very consultative approach?
No, I'm certainly no dictator or anything like that. I just like structure. I just like organising. I've said to the players and I've said to management, when you look at the Pakistan cricket team, we've got to be the Manchester United of cricket. We've got to be the Porsche of motor cars. People have got to look at us, the way we go about our business, the way we train, the way we warm up, and look at them and go, wow, these guys mean giving ourselves the best possible chance in terms of our preparation of winning, and we don't, then I can handle it. If we haven't given ourselves the best possible chance and we've been slack in the way we've prepared, then I'm not a happy coach.
Mickey, you say that you're not authoritative coach, but in terms of Pakistan team selection, would you want to have a say in that? Zainab Abbas is the chief selector. Would you want to give your input in terms of what boys you want in the squad? Yeah,
and Zainab and I have had some really good discussions. The whole selection panel has been fantastic in terms of accepting my thoughts and in terms of listening to the captain, and I think that's important that we build a really good relationship, because that'll allow us to select the best players and ultimately identify the long-term players going forward. And myself as coach and the captain and the selection panel are as one, because once we make a decision on a player, it's our decision, and we live or die by that decision. So yes, I would like a little bit of a say, but Zainab knows the players. He's played the game for so long. He's got a great cricket brain. He knows what's going on. So I trust him to be able to make the best decisions possible for the Pakistan cricket team.
In terms of selection, because you're talking about Sohail Khan, there have been a lot of critics out there who said that Junaid Khan should have had a place in the Pakistan side. He's a brilliant bowler. He's someone we've seen who's been extremely talented, and he's not made it to the squad. Including the other person that people are talking about, the other player, is Fawad Alam. The fact that he had a great domestic season and he wasn't able to be part of the final squad. What are your thoughts on that? Okay, and what would you say are your top 5 deliverables in terms of tangible deliverables at the end of the year 1?
Oh, look, at the end of year 1, first and foremost, I want a culture of excellence within the squad. So that's non-negotiable. We're going to train like an international team. We're going to behave like an international team. Our habits are going to be as good as any of the teams going around. So to change that culture and environment and make it that environment of excellence, that for me is target number 1. That we'll be setting up early on the England tour. Secondly is to improve every one of the players. You know, ultimately somebody asked me about one of the players the other day and said any player that comes into the Pakistan team has got to feel special. He's got to feel that this is the best time of his life. And we've got to be able to give him that support to make sure that he goes out of our system and says, wow, that was incredibly good. So I want to create that support structure that is just excellence orientated. Our one-day ranking is 9 in the world at the moment. If it stays 9 in the world, we've got to qualify for the next World Cup.
Yeah.
The cut-off date is September next year. We have to, in this year, have shown significant difference and significant change. And it means we're going to have won some big series. We've got England in 5. That's tough. England are playing some really good cricket. We've then got the West Indies. We've got Australia in 5. Not many teams go to Australia and win.
Yeah.
So that's extremely tough. And then we've got the West Indies in the West Indies before we go to the Champions Trophy. And we've got to go to that Champions Trophy and make significant impact. Because if we do there, we'll get our ranking nice and high. And so selection where players exactly know what their roles are and we work towards some tangible targets, for me is criteria number 1.
एक छोटी सी ब्रेक लेते हैं. ब्रेक के बाद अपनी डिस्कशन को जारी रखेंगे. हमारे साथ रहिएगा. Mickey, Pakistan has traditionally struggled in the conditions in England, and it's actually most subcontinental teams, if you see. So what would be Pakistan's strategy this time, or is there a particular plan of action that you have in your mind?
Oh, look, and it's not only subcontinent teams. We saw Australia really struggle there last year in the Ashes. What happens in England is the ball seams and swings, and the overhead conditions play such a big role in that. So hopefully we'll get some really overcast days to start our tour where the ball will swing and seam around in our training camp in Hampshire to get us as used to and accustomed to those conditions as quick as we possibly can. We've got, as I said, 10-day training camp, of which we've got a 3-day game in that, and then we go to Somerset and we go to Sussex for practice games there as well. So by the time we get to the 14th of July, I'm really hoping that our batsmen have adjusted and they're ready to go.
And we've also got some Twitter questions for you from your social media fans. And later on, we will be doing a slight rapid fire round in which I'm going to quickly throw questions at you and you'll have to reply. So on a lighter note, Akbar from Karachi has a question for you. Pakistan is famous for their food and dishes. What have you tasted and liked so far?
I've had a lot of spice so far. Yep.
And is your tummy holding okay?
Yeah, my tummy's held up. No, it's been fantastic. The staff here at the NCA Academy are fantastic cooks. So we've had some fish dishes, a lot of chicken, some grilled, some in a curry. So no, it's been fantastic.
Have you had a chance to go out yet, or?
Yes, I have. We've been out twice. We've got a friend, a mutual friend of Grant Flowers. So that's been fantastic. We had a really good old-fashioned Australian barbecue on Wednesday night on his balcony at the hotel there, which was fantastic. So all been good.
Brilliant. Sophia from Quetta is asking you, Pakistan is renowned for their hospitality. Would you ever like to bring your family over here?
Oh, look, my family would love to come and visit. They really would. You know, because it's a different culture, and it's great, I think, for family to see different cultures and experience it. Yes.
Shakil from Lahore wants to know, what would you suggest to an upcoming young cricketer?
My biggest suggestion for any upcoming cricketer is work extremely hard. Make sure you give yourself the best possible chance of success, because ultimately then you will have it, you will get it. But also just back your ability. Believe in yourself. I see too many youngsters with the fear of failure. Don't want any fear of failure. Go and play, because when you go and play to the best of your ability, you have the opportunity to get the best possible results.
And that's a problem that you keep on hearing from the Pakistan team perspective as well, that especially in the ODI team, the fear of failure is extremely strong. You know, you've seen a lot of young cricketers who've come in, played a few games and then been dropped. So that is something that you would be aiming to eliminate.
Yeah, but that's something that Enzimam, myself, and as I have spoken about, is that when we pick players, we've got to give them opportunity to succeed.
Yeah.
We can't be chopping and changing, because if you chop and change, there is that fear of failure. People then start go into self-preservation mode and start playing for themselves instead of playing for the team, and that's something that we can't do. But we've got to give them the security that we're backing them in for an extended period of time.
Iram from Multan, she wants to know, who would you consider a good coach? Either a legendary batsman, bowler, captain, so a player, or a special qualified person in coaching?
The big name player finishes his career and the people say he must go and coach. So he goes and coaches, but he's got no communication skills. He's got no structure. He's got no ability to get the best. And that then becomes a problem. So I think if you've played at that level, it's great. If you get the necessary coaching skills and coaching qualifications, you have a good chance of success.
So Mickey, let's get on with the rapid fire round. Best team you have coached?
South Africa.
Is there a little bit of bias over there because you're South African?
No, it's not. It's because what we achieved and the enjoyment level of achieving success with so many good young players who have now gone on to become household names was fantastic and very fulfilling as a coach.
Right. Best player that you have worked with?
Jacques Kallis.
Jacques Kallis. Oh wow. Why would you? What are your reasons? Everybody knows he was a great player. But
Look, just because he just kept the game so simple. Just because he was so good. But then, that's being unfair on Michael Clarke, who was exceptional. And also, when you see what A.B. de Villiers and Hashim Amla have done in their careers, it's unfair of them. But as an all-round package, Jacques Kallis was amazing.
Right. Most difficult player that you've worked with?
Wow. There's been a couple.
Yeah?
There's been a couple. I'm scared if I name names here, I'm going to be targeted by them for the rest of my life.
It's fine. You can say whatever you like.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Leave it. You were about to say it.
I was.
Okay, off the record you can tell me. Best current fast bowler, in your opinion, in the test format or the limited overall?
Sure, without wanting to be biased, I think Mitchell Starc is going to become the best in the next year or two. Dale Steyn was the best that I saw over a period of time. He's just gone off the boil just a little bit. I think Mohamed Amir has the ability, if he can get the ball to swing, to be right up there.
Yeah, and talking about Mohamed Amir, what are your thoughts, on his return? In terms of he's come back, you've worked with him in PSL. There is a section of the media or the reports that come through that, he has an attitude problem. All right. Best contemporary batsman, in your opinion, overall?
Best contemporary batsman. All right
now.
David Warner.
David Warner. Interesting. The best captain that you would say? Currently.
Currently?
Or if you want to talk about
I worked with two exceptional captains and they were so different.
Yeah.
Graham Smith was fantastic as an all-round package. Michael Clarke was unbelievable in terms of his tactical ability.
Yeah.
So I was lucky to work with two really good batsmen.
Definitely, and he's an inspiration for a lot of young aspiring cricketers out there. Parting thoughts, Mickey, the England tour, what are your predictions or what are your expectations from the team?
My expectation is to go there and play the best cricket we can possibly play. Somebody said, there was somebody at the function last night that said, go there and hold your head up high and do the best you can. I've never bought into that, because for me, doing the best you can is winning. and ultimately, we'll have a very successful tour if we win. But failing that, there's a lot of little blocks that you've got to put in place along the way to get the ultimate results. So I can't wait for this tour to start. I'm looking forward to working with this group of players, and I'm looking forward to putting the little stepping stones in place to ultimate success.
Right. Thank you so much for your time, Mickey, and all the best for the England tour and your coaching stint with Pakistan. We hope that you have a great time over here.
Thank you.
और आपने सुना मिकी आर्थर की थॉट्स पाकिस्तान क्रिकेट के ऊपर कुछ नए ख्वाब लेकर आए हैं, कुछ नई उम्मीदें लेकर आए हैं. प्रोग्राम का टाइम जो है वो ख़त्म हो गया है. हम उम्मीद यही करते हैं कि पाकिस्तान का टूर इंग्लैंड का जो है वो सक्सेसफुल रहे. अब तक के लिए इतना ही. खुदा हाफिज़.